Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our Allied playthrough. In the last episode, Japan went on quite the strike, destroying our two special forces, assaulting Eniwetok, one of the national morale objectives here at the Marshall Islands. They arrived with not just two, but three fleet carriers that we completely wiped out with our battleship fleet that was just to the north here, that I guess they didn't know was here, because they committed overwhelming force to destroying those two long-distance transports with the special forces on board, as well as 1.5 destroyers. In return, they've already lost 2 destroyers, I believe 1 cruiser, maybe not, and 3 fleet carriers. That's insane losses. Their national morale's down to 38%. And if we look at the graphs here, America is now a little higher than they just were for national morale, being at 90, now up to 91. With that likely to get even larger when we hit end turn and see what else we can hunt down with America. I have to reconsider a couple things of my plans here. Fighting Japan. They're clearly more capable than I thought they would be. I've gone a little back and forth about my assumptions of their capability, therefore I should probably make the same judgment call with China. Because here, if they do have a lot of troops, they pulled another corps I didn't know they had out of nowhere. It's likely going to be based around Tokyo. So maybe going for Niigata is not the smart thing. So I'm going to do a little bit of a risky thing, alright? We're going to go and we're going to take the Dare to Die Special Forces, the army sailing over here got destroyed, and we're going to land it here at Hakodate and secure the town, which would be a little hard to assault from the southeast. We're going to take the Sun HQ, we're still going to send it to where it's going, but we're going to send it north. Okay, there's no one at Sapporo, we're going to land, we're going to take Sapporo, and looks like the location is supplied enough that we can actually just sail armies up without amphibious anything. So we're going to do that. We are going to do that. We're going to put the 42nd Army here in a transport, sail that right up, and land it right there next to the HQ. Now, I don't know if there's anything at Kushiro over here. I'll let the Special Forces deal with defending this for the time being. Well, I mean, I might want the army over there. Either way, I can put another thing on a transport this turn. And that other thing I put on the transport this turn is probably going to be another army for the north, so that the north is in as good of a situation as the south. With the air power that the Japanese have, we seen that they destroyed one of our armies at sea. We don't want to necessarily overcommit to trying to assault the entire island all at once. That would be ideal if we didn't do that. Thankfully, they didn't get the HQ. That's why I left it back. The Special Forces is not worth as much as the Army, so they did still kill the more valuable of the 2 targets there, unfortunately. However, still not the worst situation. We'll move the 42nd Army forward, assuming that it will support the Special Forces, which does need its upgrade. Not everything that I have over here is upgraded yet. Something to keep in mind. This heavy artillery unleashed 3 different shells at us this past turn, which is quite interesting. Oh god, the placement of this unit on this island is just awful. Absolutely awful. The movement capacity over here is terrible. And getting the supplies into Hiroshima is taking a while. And we don't have the ability to do much. We can go ahead and... oh god, we still can't even reinforce this up. Because the supply here is only just like reached 5 with everything. It's Hiroshima that we're really waiting for supplies to come from. Alright, well... that doesn't leave me much choice at this point. Since supplies are so fucking terrible here, we'll start by swapping the 13th Army out, and then moving like so. And then we will move the HQ back into position, and we will swap the Flying Tigers. Well, actually, we don't need to swap. We can just move them right over here. And then that'll allow me to move the 54th Army up. It's very slow, it's not efficient, but while we wait for supplies here, this is, unfortunately, the best that we can do. I guess, well, we don't have enough transports to send more north and south, so let's go ahead and just send some more north for right now. Ooh, unfortunately, I don't have anything ready that I wanted to have ready, because I was planning on saving this for amphibious operations, but I see that I need to commit a bit more elsewhere. So we're going to go ahead and take the 41st Army, let's drop them off right here. Send them. Okay, cool. So we can see that this direction is safe. That's good. So we can secure that with the Chinese army and base out of Sapporo for the time being with the HQ. The North Island is completely secure. I believe this is the island of Hokkaido is what it is known as. And the southern islands here are secure as well. We'll just need to push from either side with the best troops that we can manage to the best of our ability. For now, we will go ahead and attack the enemy forces here, dealing 1 damage, taking 1. We just want to keep dealing damage. China doesn't have to worry about money or lives. It can replace and build more of anything that it loses. Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that things that die at sea cannot be reformed and simply must be rebuilt. We have acquired some medium bombers that could be handy with dealing with everything over here. I guess we'll go put them over here to give them the longest possible distance. They might need some upgrades. Don't know if they can even get any upgrades. Supply here is too bad to operate any bombers. We know that we don't need to worry about any ships showing up, at the very least, so that's good. But they do still have an array of bombers that we should be concerned about. However, again, we'll probably need to wait for supplies to make any more use of that. Knowing that we have more ways in and are going to need more ways in, we're going to want to get things ready to go as soon as possible to get ready for any which situation. So I will go ahead and get some units in a bit of a rush here. We're going to operate the 5th Army to right about here. The L Corps will go step on Yenki again. We have only corps back here. This one does need to keep moving down the road. It's currently blocked off by mud, unfortunately. We have 234 MPPs remaining as China. No need to implement any diplomacy. We have our research still maxed out, meaning everything that we have right now can go right into our units. Now, let's go ahead and take this 68th Army here. Step on Haikou, finally taking it. The 1st Corps here is going to be out of supply real soon. We'll go ahead and attack them, dealing 3 damage and losing none. There's very little reason to keep anything else over here for the time being, because this is just gonna die. I need to get this artillery and this 1st Army onto rail lines where they can strike out from. They need to get to a position where they can sail across to any of the fronts or to opening a new front even. Depends, we'll see. I might wait till more amphibious warfare to open a brand new front. But we're going to want to get these ready to go as soon as possible, and maybe even start building some of the armies that the other nations can have that we've taken over, just to guard them so we can get the actual Chinese going somewhere else. But as you see, we have no shortage of Chinese that we can recruit. And I mean, the Manchukans can even get their own HQ, which is pretty big. If the Manchukans can get, 4 armies, 2 corps, and an HQ, even if it is a terrible HQ like this, the Manchukans can make their own assault on the island. But as of right now, we still have another HQ we can get as China. Still wish I didn't delete Stillwell. That's very sad to me. He's level 5, but so long as I don't go through all the level 5 HQs, then I guess there really is no problem. I won't make that mistake again, damn you. I won't make that mistake again. But definitely good to look at what we can maybe have the other armies offer us in the time being. There are still, I know, upgrades that we can be doing to our forces that are elsewhere, however. Namely, it's going to be entirely infantry corps and stuff that we're looking at. However, when it comes to invading Japan, I don't want infantry corps. I don't think infantry corps are good enough, personally. I want armies, because that's what we're going to need to really smash through the Japanese with the Chinese. We're going to need big units that have their upgrades and are pretty much good to go. The corps, they don't matter as much. If we do free up Indochina, all we'd actually be freeing up are corps. So another thing that just wouldn't really matter very much. But right now, the Chinese themselves can supply me with pretty much everything else that I want. So we're going to go ahead and purchase the Sichuan infantry army with all the upgrades they can currently get. Purchase that for the Chinese. They can have 9 more armies after this. We did just lose one, so we're kind of like replacing one. As logistics go up, we can have more and more HQs at varying performance. We only need so many units, right? We don't need an insane amount of units. We just only need so many to fill the fronts that we are opening and eventually overwhelm the enemies. If I figure that we have filled the fronts as best we can, I will definitely start using the Chinese points for other purposes. But for right now, I'll save the 49 they have, as upgrading the cores we have lying around it's not really going to serve me very much in the long run. We have 3 more HQs that are Chinese and rating 6 that we can use to open new fronts with, or to support these fronts if it, for whatever reason, comes down to that. Additional command and control should make that a little unnecessary given the size of the fronts, so it'll probably just come down to opening new fronts. So purchasing a new HQ probably won't be needed, but we'll still see. We do have one more, I believe, level 6 HQ that we could go ahead and get. Now let's go deal with the Soviets, who can now deploy, or probably redeploy, because it's probably been lost in the past. Their 7th Army will put it down where the fighting is the heaviest, which is gonna be somewhere in this region. Let's imagine somewhere down by Odessa to support everything that's happening over there. We still have many more upgrades to do for our infantry, but we also have very many pushes in progress. The force of Kiev got surrounded. He just tried to fight a mechanized or something. No, that was actually at Baikal. This mechanized needs to get the fuck out of Dodge and recover itself. So we're gonna go ahead and, well, can we reinforce it to full right here? We can. We can. It can also use upgrades though. So I will go ahead and retreat it behind Odessa for the time being. The force of Kiev is pretty much gonna die now though. There's nothing that can save it. It's out of supplies. So we're gonna go ahead and start killing it. First with the 26th Army attacking across the river. Next with the 5th Corps attacking from the side, just moved from across the river. Dealing some good damage there. Let's see what else we have available. We can get the 6th Corps here coming down, although they're not going to have the best of odds, unfortunately. Even against an enemy with like no readiness, no morale, barely any entrenchment, and no supply. Well, is there anything else over here that is just completely, like, something needing an upgrade? That would be pretty good. Something that needs an upgrade. This Rifle Corps can go ahead and attack. Don't know why their odds are so fucking different. Let's go ahead and try to attack with this anyway, dealing 1 damage. Alright, that's something. Now we just need 1 more attack in. It's probably going to have to be something that has an upgrade, because we're just doing too well otherwise. So we'll open up some space on the front here. We'll take the corps that just recovered at Uman and send that to go try to destroy successfully the enemies that are at Kiev. This will allow me to take the location. Unfortunately, I cannot get my HQ over there right now, but the 26th Army can go step on it. That's nice. And then I should be able to get the HQ in there rather soon. The anti-air can move up for the time being. Our air power is getting to the point of being able to move up. This one is not having any supply issues. Let's go ahead and reinforce it now that it's done what it has needed to do. Ooh, let me actually go move this mechanized forward a little bit so I can get the paratroopers moving forward. Maybe they'll get to do something before the end of the war. This 8th Corps by the Germans here, surrounded at Baikal, is fairly vulnerable. Looks like they've left the path heading into the rest of Romania open. Looks like Romania will definitely be taken by the Russians. Probably be easiest to do it with them. Whereas the Brits and stuff, I don't know who's going to go for Bulgaria. I don't know who's going to have the easier time of that. But the Brits are definitely going to get Yugoslavia, maybe go for Croatia, and into Italy through the north side. The Russians are definitely going through Romania, maybe into Hungary, and maybe further up as well. I just don't want to cut the Brits off, because if the Soviets cut the Brits off, the Brits won't be able to advance anymore. They might not be needed, right? If the Soviets have enough land, they could just do it themselves, and the Brits can just go sail somewhere else, maybe supporting the Americans or something like that. We've been having logistical challenges over here as it is. We maybe don't need a bigger front. But that's why I'm trying to think, slimming it down. Yugoslavia is not that big to deal with. Bulgaria may or may not be that big of a deal. We could probably get that with the UK. But we should leave Croatia open, and then be able to push into Italy, where probably America is going to deal with, while the Soviets destroy Romania, probably Hungary, Slovakia, and push in through all of Germany, and maybe even in towards France, depending on how all this goes over here. I don't know. That's looking forward to the future. Again, just want to make sure I don't cut the Brits off. Otherwise, I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot, which in real life I know the Soviets would have been glad to do. But I'm not them. I actually have some intelligence. Up north, we definitely have a lot of units that need to be reinforced and upgraded, because we have suffered many losses on our advance, but it's all for the good of the Soviet Union. Let's see, we do have room for more research. I don't know if I'm going to do any of it. None of it is really very important to us. The anti-tank weapons could help now that we actually have anti-tank. We do have, well, actually a fair amount of room. But again, we'll get back to that once we cover the front. You know what, fuck it. Something should be invested here, be it artillery or anti-tank or whatever the fuck. Let's go ahead and invest into that anti-tank. That's pretty cheap. 125, that leaves us with 150 remaining, which is pretty much only usable on ASW or, oh, AA defense is pretty important. I could just pour heavy into research right now to kind of get it out of the way, so to say. Yeah, let's go for increased anti-air defense. It takes forever to research this crap anyway. Getting that in right now means we can focus more on our forces in the future. We'll go ahead and upgrade the armored train with infantry weapons level 2, as it definitely needs that. Let's see, we don't necessarily want to stay right next to these entrenched panzers, as they just wiped out an entire corps moments ago. Losing the Vladivostok corps that way would certainly suck, as we get more and more things that we need to reform. Now, Brest-Litovsk, however, is going to be very easy to knock over. We do have some more corps here that do need their infantry weapons. We'll make sure to go ahead and get that for them. But let's try knocking over the cavalry corps at Brest-Litovsk. And voila, we have done it. Let's go ahead and, well, we don't want to cut anybody off. So let's go send this corps forward through Brest-Litovsk. And oh, look what we have here! The German Air Force in droves, all these bombers that have been fucking with us, all in one place. Would you look at that? All out in the open compared to where we can go. Looks like this front is also technically meeting up with the Minsk front. The Minsk front is expanding and meeting up with the Baltic front, and now the front down here. I see why they're starting to abandon this more and more. Let's move the 16th Army into Brest-Litovsk for right now. The Moscow Corps can go south just a little bit. I don't necessarily want to surround this panzer right now, but if I can get around it, then I can make it run out of supply. Well, no, it's on a town, so that wouldn't be as easy as it sounds. For now, let's just take this corps and go ahead and attack the enemy cavalry at Allenstein, because we have a lot of progress that we could potentially be making over here, due to the lack of actual powerful enemy units. Let's see. I will... This unit is a little injured, but that doesn't mean it can't do anything. We'll reinforce our fighters at will now. I want to move this army up, but I don't want to accidentally, like, cut it off somewhere. There's a problem. We need room. Let's move the 11th Army forward and have it attack the enemy army, or cavalry division at Allenstein. Not even worth being called an army. We can see some defenses they have back here. Modlin only has bombers at it. Oh, just for the record, if in this or the previous video you hear things that sound like fireworks or annoying little horns, that's because it's New Year's, and there are both fireworks outside and children blowing into these annoying little horns that are making a lot of noise. Just so you know. And we'll take this rifle corps, and we're definitely going to want to advance as far as we can get. Alright, we'll take this injured corps, and we'll send it up to secure Allenstein. That sounds like a pretty good thing to be doing. We'll send this army around, send this other army in behind it. Let's see, send this army in beside it. And we can probably force the panzers to leave their entrenchments at any rate, although at what cost? Doesn't look like they have anything on Warsaw, but I don't think I can actually see Warsaw just yet, unfortunately. The North Coast seems to be very poorly defended, like hilariously so. Let's take this rifle corps and move it forward to see what we have. Okay. Yeah, it's very poorly defended, this North Coast. We're like gonna go across the North Coast all the way to Berlin at this rate. Let's go ahead and reinforce the first shock heavy tanks. That's pretty important. We have the 5th tanks that can move only as far as Königsberg. I'll go ahead and send this corps across the river, following it up with a corps that's already expended its strike, just to hold the supply line. The light tanks and all these other things can definitely get a move on. Let's see. We'll go ahead and strike at the cavalry division with what we have. Sadly, to not very much effect. We'll go and surround it using the actual tanks. We'll send the light tanks around to face off against the cav as well. The cav is not that big of a threat all by itself. This gives me an opportunity to move this HQ up to Königsberg, which has much better supply, and we'll be able to supply our units and help them operate in a much better situation. This rifle corps in the rear will push up with the group at Brest-Litovsk. Eventually, I want to get this HQ down there. I mean, the HQ can already start heading down there, to be honest. First, we'll send the anti-air past it, because we want to make sure that we can have good supply coming from the town and that the anti-air can support it as it moves forward, which it might need to, potentially, because this doesn't have mobility. So it can't necessarily reach all the way up there, especially with the mud. If the rain passes next turn, we might be able to do it. We might. Not guaranteed, but we might. We do have available the first mechanized, which are going to be very, very capable. We can set them loose on the 2nd Cavalry Division, as well as the tanks, trying to destroy it, although it's not that big of a threat. The 14th Army at Memel can move down into such a situation that they could absolutely slaughter the cavalry, should they wish, in no time flat. We don't really know what they have further down the line. What I do know is that supply going in this direction is going to get sparser and sparser. I will take the Vladivostok Corps and charge it forward towards Modlin. Now we can see what they have at Warsaw. This cavalry division is nearly dead, so we'll go ahead and finish that off before we start going for any bombers. What's an air force without a land force to support, am I right? We'll send the 2nd anti-tank next to the enemy panzers that are sitting here to give them a target to shoot at. Hopefully they do shoot at us, so we don't have to worry about the entrenchments, or otherwise they will move off of their entrenchments and get surrounded. They might also account for this and just leave, but even if they're leaving, that's pretty good for us. We can now move our fighters forward. I think I'll move them forward over here to Memel. Yeah, now they can escort everything from right there. Looking pretty good. I'm still not sure what to do with these mechanized, but I feel like they should be used in pushing somehow. I don't want to strike them out too far too fast. So for now, we'll just send them as far as we can get them, and we'll take a look. Poznan has a corps behind it. They have a lot of troops, but again, the front is just collapsing in on them. The road to Berlin is open to me, and that is the worst thing that ever could have happened to the Germans. They're defending too much where Romania and etc. are, and not enough by Berlin. They will need to operate massive forces off this front if they hope to defend it from me. The 1st Corps here can also be moved. Ideally not into a position that will get it destroyed or shot at by a tank, but maybe in a place that works more like bait. We'll send it to the west for the time being. And we still have a lot of stuff to look at down here. This is where the enemies are actually still rather strong and to be concerned about. Baikal only has 1 supply left, so I don't really need to go on the offensive right now. So long as I just keep some corps around to keep it in check, should be fine. However, it's not going to be very easy to make a lot of progress here in the meantime, just due to how strong the enemy presence is and how spread out we are in Romania right now. So the Romanian front might need to be a place where we're just holding off more than anything, securing some entrenchments on the oil that we've taken, securing the cities that we've pushed up to, and moreover waiting before we push any further due to the supply situation. Now, we can push the HQ up, we just need to make sure it's protected while we do it, which is not going to be as easy as it sounds. The Sevastopol Corps up here will go ahead and reinforce to hold the line in this direction. Now, if I want to hold this is going to be something. I'll go ahead and reinforce this corps on the front because we're not going to be making any pushes. I need to secure this just in case the Panzer pushes up. Well, even if it does push up, it's gonna have to use both strikes to destroy this anti-tank, whatever. I'll move the Zhukov HQ down to Odessa. We can move the 10th Corps forward to protect the HQ from that direction, and that shouldn't be so bad. We have another corps which can move southwest, kind of heading down in this region. Getting it in this position would be kind of nice. We'll leave everybody else for right now where they are. Sadly cannot upgrade that cavalry for the time being. Ooh, that sucks. We have a light tank which can start proceeding down here, and that could help. Getting some more reinforcements down there would always be great. Defending Rostov is certainly not of import anymore, nor Verona's, a lot of this other crap. We can operate the anti-tank. It's right here. Is there anywhere particularly special where I can get it that's filled with enemy tanks? Filled with it? No. Next to one? Sure. Yeah, we'll put it down here to protect the Zhukov HQ. That is my most valuable HQ, after all. Let's see. Where do I need the garrisons? Well, need is subjective. We don't need the garrisons in quite a few places. And because of that, I think I'll save my MPPs on moving them for the time being. Can this be reinforced up to max? It can be. It also needs upgrades, but there's no one around to swap out. However, we can get some damage in on the enemy army here, so I think I will go ahead and do that. 3 damage dealt, 2 damage taken, just as advertised. Alright, that's not so bad. I am a little bit content with that. That means, ooh, we'll attack with this rifle corps, dealing 1 damage, taking 1 damage. Alright, still as advertised, which is something. Making any better use of the stuff over here is just going to get harder and harder. I think I'll just reinforce this one for now, take the points I've gained as a victory. We will take this corps, which is how's supply in this region? It's actually okay. We'll do the prepared strike against the Italians to get some damage in against a weak unit. Then move the corps up a little bit. We have the Red Banner Army, which can move up, as well as the 1st Guards Army. The 1st Guards will move to Uman, and the 1st Red Banner Army will, I guess, I'm not sure actually. They'll move up northwest. The 21st Army would be very handy to the southwest instead of pushing northwest. But northwest is actually where we want the Soviets going. We don't want them pushing too heavy down here. So I think I will dedicate it to this region. In that case, let's take the upgraded mechanized unit here and move it up to attack the Italians, dealing 2 damage and getting them to retreat. Okay, that's good. But we can't get around this unit quite yet, and this unit is rather dug in. We can continue to advance, although it gets more and more risky the further we go. We'll send this rifle corps forward. Again, northwest is the main direction we're going to want to be pushing, but securing Romania at the very least with the USSR can give them some oil and other resources with which to continue their push into Germany as they maybe concentrate their offensive from this point onwards. Just so long as we leave other things available for the UK to push northwest, situation should be fine. So I don't know that I want to move this mechanized forward. It may not be very smart. But looking at what we have here, we actually do have quite an opportunity to be pushing. Okay, fair enough. If they're going to leave the doors wide open for me, the least I can do is send some cheap dog shit units forward to secure a town that's open, right? The town of Cluj, which certainly fills in our control of this region here fairly well, if I do say so myself. We want to keep this core as surrounded as possible, just making sure it cannot reach another town very easily. With the amount of zones of control we have here, we know it's not getting here with any ease whatsoever. The supply over here won't last if I break through the river. The supply over here is not going to be very good either. I just thought I'd push forward because they had nothing defending it. It might force them to operate units out there to try to take control of the situation, and we could maybe be circling around them through Hungary, completely outflanking them. That's an idea. So let's go ahead and get this mechanized going over here, where it can get ready for further pushes outwards in that direction. And then we will take the 21st Army here. And for now, we're going to move it forward. But I'll have it avoid this town. I'll have it move forward where we have more luck pushing forward for the time being. Our Kiev fighters can go over to Odessa. The 3rd Red can go down to Cherkasy to get a better line of things. We have 257 MPPs remaining as the Soviets. We could purchase something, but we do have access to upgrading. the Mongolian core that's here, so we will go ahead and upgrade that. That's 210 remaining. Is there anything really valuable at all that we could purchase with that? Yes, we can actually reform the 11th core for 104. Okay, so we'll go ahead and reform this core right here. We've already put points into research, and everyone has pretty much done everything that they can if we ignore the fact that ships could be upgraded. Seeing as we're not in a position to need garrisons for anything, I will go ahead and retain my remaining 106 MPPs as the Soviet Union for the next time we tackle them. Next time is also going to be where we continue this with India and the United Kingdom and probably hitting end turn. We'll see. For now though, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.